Hi, it's been a while, and that's been for a couple reasons, one of which being a series of bad haircuts, which this is probably the final one. So, to pick my spirits up, and to help me get back into the swing of things, let's read some comments, because I'm sure they're lovely. I wish hiith went back to drawing. Okay, that stings a little. Abortion is just killing a baby. For the devils, it's okay. ... Okay, so let's just assume that an unborn child is a baby, always, and is a person. That's ignoring the fact that your Bible condones abortion and tells you when to get it and how to get it. In fact, abortions were to be administered by priests. And if you hate killing babies so much, then you should hate the Bible, at least the point where it says, "Happy is he who takes your Babylonian children and dashes them against the stones." I can literally do the same thing you do with your videos. Funnier though. ... Okay, sure. I don't doubt that you can. As long as you have the proper equipment and the time to research, then yeah, you could do it, and you probably could do it funnier because I don't have an emphasis on comedy. I never have, and I never will be able to, because I can't force myself to tell jokes. You'd probably hate it anyways. Hiith, you spelled that wrong, but that's okay. You're clearly young. Well, it's the wrong "you're" and just the worst punctuation. Just had been indoctrinated, probably still are, by the education system, so I understand these things seem stupid. I was not indoctrinated by anything, and if I was, it definitely would not be the educational system. None of what I learned in school turned me to be an atheist. I became an atheist by looking at the evidence and seeing where it leads, and hearing different points of view. But what makes you think that you're not indoctrinated? Because what I see, most people who are religious because they were told by somebody who they trusted from a young and naive age that religion is true. And nothing more. Nobody becomes religious because they looked at the evidence and God was obviously there. That's something that apologists do after the fact to try to rationalize the things they believe. But they obviously don't do that very well, and that's what I've based my YouTube videos on. All I'm saying to you is don't get too attached to your current position. It will blind you when the truth hits you, and you will see the light, I am pretty sure. ... Because the mere fact you're interested enough in the Bible to attempt proving it wrong, you will eventually see it's a lot more plausible than any other explanation. Hopefully, there is none. Well, you see, when I first became interested in the Bible, it was not because I wanted to prove it wrong. In fact, it was the direct opposite of that. I believed that it was right, and I wanted to learn about it and apply it to my life, because I was fundamentalist Christian. But in time, the things that I read in the Bible became less and less probable, which brings me to my next comment, from the same guy as the last two. Atheists' problem is they equate other religions' beliefs to the Bible. They are not equal. LOL. The Bible is provable. Never, ever, ever been disproven. Many attempts by enemies, slanderers, and liars. Yet the Bible defeated them all. Yeah, like remember how some people went to the moon and took pictures of the Earth? And are still doing it in the International Space Station? That proves the biblical idea that the Earth is held upon pillars. And if you were in the International Space Station, you could clearly see God's throne in the sky, as the Bible says that there is. And if you studied even the basic of genetics, you'd understand that it was completely possible for animals to be reduced to 2, 14, and 8 of any particular species. Of course. And remember when Jesus said that the world would end within his own generation? Well, that happened, and we have proof of it. Of course. How anyone takes this hiith person seriously is beyond me. He needs to get out of his closet and see the universe for himself instead of watching Planet of Apes all day. It's not like I'm completely oblivious to the world around us. When I see things like mountains and organisms, that does not prove that there's a God behind it. if that's what you're trying to say. But if you've learned even the simplest of middle school biology, you'd understand that these things evolved. There's a process in which everything formed. There's better explanations for everything than God did it. Muslim by far are the most delusional out of all the religious, even more than the noisy loonies of Christians. Well, I don't agree with that. Mormonism is obviously full of crap, rivaled by Scientology and the occult in general. Are you a guy or a girl? The key is to look at the Adam's apple. Men have a prominent Adam's apple. See? I'm a dude. He keeps saying, how do we know that? Or, we don't know. Well, that's the point. You don't even know how it began. Only God does. We don't need to know everything about everything in order to conclude that some beliefs, like religious beliefs, are simply wrong. If you don't know how something happened, you can't just say that it was a god, much less your specific ethereal dictator. That's an unreasonable conclusion to come to based on a lack of understanding. But I get what you're saying. We don't know, therefore God. I get that a lot. You've obviously dedicated yourself to idiocy. You need to show evidence that time and space always existed. No, I don't. For one, time and space didn't always exist. I don't know exactly what I said in that video to make you believe that, but that's not true. What is the point of this video? The point in the video was to show that there was a fundamental flaw in apologetics, which is why I named the video The Problem with Apologetics. It's in the title, it's not that hard to figure it out. Most of the people in this world want to prove so many things, and it is so tiring to watch. Just enjoy your life, man. Stop wasting time disproving others' belief. Not a Christian. Just stumble upon this video. ... Maybe responding to religious arguments is a niche topic. I get that. But it's not like I should not make a video because you don't enjoy watching videos like this. It's not how this works. I enjoy doing these videos. I enjoy researching, and I enjoy learning about this topic. Maybe you don't. That's fine. Evolution works in reverse of nature. No, it doesn't. In fact, it works in accordance to nature, in the process of natural selection. If it just so happens that more complex organisms are naturally selected, then we can see more complex organisms. And we do understand the mechanism behind that. Alright, so let's do one more comment. How then do you explain how the universe came to be, whether you believe in a god or gods? And don't give me the Big Bang Theory because it is illogical, not scientific, physically impossible, mathematically impossible, and the list will go on. If you think that the Big Bang Theory is completely ridiculous, then you don't understand the Big Bang Theory. It is completely plausible. So let me give you the basic rundown of the leading hypothesis, so that you at least know what you're arguing against. Before the Big Bang, sort of, there was the initial singularity, which held all of the mass and energy in the universe today in an infinitely dense spot. And then, due to quantum fluctuations, space and time appeared, and then started expanding. And as it began to expand, the masses clumped together to form particles, and those particles clumped together to form atoms. And as that continued to happen, stars formed, and as such began stellar nucleosynthesis, which formed even heavier elements. And then in time, as these heavier elements were floating through space, they clumped together to form the planets that we know today. At least that's how I understand it. But the fact that we have that hypothesis is not actually necessary at all. Like I said before, we don't need to know exactly how it happened in order to know that God did it is not a reasonable conclusion. If God or gods are not real, then don't you think life is bitter and meaningless? I tell you the truth, if I knew for a fact that God or gods didn't exist and life was meaningless, then I would be dead. The fact that there is no God does not mean that life has no meaning. That's because we can assign meaning to our own lives. But granted, the nihilistic view isn't exactly wrong. And if you use religion as a coping mechanism, that's fine, but that doesn't mean that it's true. What do you think of the overwhelming geological evidence for the Bible? Well, I would tell you if I've actually ever seen any convincing geological evidence for the Bible. As it stands, I don't. Despite what AIG or ICR will tell you, there is no geological evidence for the worldwide flood. In fact, just the opposite. We are completely missing that one huge geological layer that we would have if the entire world flooded over. Radiometric dating and other forms of dating consistently date many things to be older than the biblical age of the Earth. The Earth isn't held upon pillars, there is no throne in the sky, there is no Sheol, there is no great deep, none of that. But if you have geological evidence, or see somebody who says that he does, then by all means, send that to me. It's kinda what I do. Must God himself go before you in his glory to prove to you that he exists? Well, sure, that would work, but that's not the be-all and end-all of what would make me a Christian, or even religious. I would need to see something, or many things, of which God is the best explanation. Also, a lack of disproof in the idea of this God. You might say no, but the problem is... Say a boy prayed for proof, something extraordinary, and if God shows red, yellow, and blue lightning before the boy and many others, then he might believe. But for many atheists, they will search for reason. Maybe they will find it, maybe not. Point is, once you're in the hole, it will take a lot to get out. Well, here's the thing. I did ask God to show that he existed. And I did this when I still was religious. And it wasn't anything extraordinary. This was incredibly simple and could easily have been done by God's mysterious ways. But it never happened. And coupled with searching for evidence that he existed, I came up flat. God did not show me that he exists. He has not, and I highly doubt that he will, because I doubt that he exists. So as far as I'm concerned, if he does exist, he is allowing me to disbelieve. Not only that, but making me disbelieve by making the most reasonable conclusion, not him. Anyways, that's all I have for today.